Oh God, please, sir, I didn't mean it. Please, you don't understand. You don't know what you're doing. I mean, I was just coming to... Wait a second. This isn't the right game. Ah, perfect. There's a disconnect between the things happening in the world and the things going on in this man's head, which are portrayed in his journal. While this could be nice, the player has to go out of their way to experience the added sense of dread and fear from these interactions, so they're not nearly as effective. A lot of the scares at the beginning of the game are just overreactions to nothing. The first was the main character getting scared by a chair. Then, a piano slamming down, which was less scary than the Super Mario 64 piano. Every time you enter a new area, the first thing most people do is look around and take in their new space, which would be an incredible thing to do in this game if it didn't make it impossible to see through this motion blur. What is this? There is one box in particular that you're able to move. This box. Every other box is an immovable brick, which us mere humans could never dream of interfering with. The initial 2 hours of this game had me yawning, bored, lost, and tired. Too many of the details are vague. The horror aspect of the game comes through the medium of spooky noises somewhere nearby, and the lack of a threat makes all attempts to create an eerie, tense, and scary environment into a walking simulator with weird effect choices. Also, the main character peeps on his wife in the bath. I don't really know what else to say there. There's a line in the sand of the vast desert known as game design. The line of how much you can realistically expect people to read before they get bored and stop. There will always be players who go out of their way and read every bit of information they can find. But for the majority of us, having to read notes that they find in an environment gets old and tired really quickly. I don't want to read about you doing horrible things to people. If I wanted to read, I'd get a book. Show me the remains. Show me the signs of a struggle. Show me anything that could give me a reason to read the notes. Trails of red paint on the floor and a pig running around my house doesn't do much of anything besides tell me, "Ooh, look at me, I can be spooky." Now for the elephant in the room. Machine for Pigs is almost nothing like its predecessor, Amnesia The Dark Descent. While the controls are Amnesia, from the movement controls to adopting a ball as my new best friend, it lacks the things that made that game into so much more than just run away from the predetermined monster spawn locations. Sanity, which turned every interaction with a monster into a tense, quick, and panicked moment, is gone. It's replaced with the camera freaking out or motion blur getting turned up to 100 when creepy or spooky noises happen. There are no resources to manage. The lantern can be left on permanently. Laudanum and tinderboxes don't exist, so you have no way to track your progress through lights, and you can't heal yourself if you ever get hurt. All of the aspects of interaction that turned Amnesia into a survival situation have been ripped out, leaving a Machine for Pigs as nothing more than a walking simulator. But if you take away Amnesia and look at it as a Machine for Pigs, you can find an enjoyable horror experience after giving it a chance to figure itself out. For the first 2 hours, I was exhausted by its attempts to build atmosphere and immerse me in the game. The first time I was introduced to the actual threat, I took it as a momentary joke and gave it a hug, then walked past it to the door. Then I was anxious. Suddenly, it was in my path, in my way. I knew it could kill me from my joke earlier, and it stopped being a laughable joke very quickly. My next encounter with it, I was hiding away, watching it stumble past and taking the chance to rush on before it noticed me. While progressing, I could hear it. There, just a little bit further down the path. Hear it sniffling, hear it shuffling, its heavy steps echoing down the metallic passages. My path began to narrow. I knew that there was almost nowhere for me to hide if it found me. I started scanning every hallway for somewhere to hide in case it came past, and when it did catch me, the tension I had built up preparing for it to come caused a rush of panic, leaving me helpless against it. Suddenly, the game went from a horrible attempt at being scary through sound alone to filling me with a sense of dread from distant echoes. I forgot about the problems it had and was focused in on avoiding death. This game isn't Amnesia 2 like everyone expected it to be. For a while, it tries to be, and that ruins the beginning section of the game. But once it branches off and realizes it can be its own game, it becomes a great horror experience. Maybe it isn't worth $20, but for the next week, it's free on the Epic Games Store, and I think it's the perfect way to get yourself in the mood for Halloween this year.